Join us for an engaging and transformative workshop designed to empower your child to explore their potential and set meaningful goals for the future. Visit our website or use the provided link to purchase your ticket. For further inquiries, please don't hesitate to call or send a WhatsApp message to 063 2099 379. We look forward to seeing you there. Join us for an engaging and transformative workshop designed to empower your child to explore their potential and set meaningful goals for the future. Visit our website or use the provided link to purchase your ticket. For further inquiries, please don't hesitate to call or send a WhatsApp message to 063 2099 379. We look forward to seeing you there. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Tinashe Mujera. I'm an author, I'm a marketplace professional, and I'm a woman of God. I am a representation of tested faith. I represent my healed wounds that left ugly scars. This is the Faith in Action podcast that has been created to help you find the journey to your true self through conversations and lessons shared. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Faith in Action podcast with me, your host, Tinashe Mujera. I'm really excited about, the recent episodes we've been streaming here, and indeed, we've been receiving stories that are life transforming, that really represent faith in action. And again, today is no different. I'm excited because I am honored to have a special guest in our midst. Her name is Saskia Riley. We are going to be discussing and talking about the womb and manifestation of the womb and what it means to have the womb as a portal. I can't wait to hear all the wisdom that she carries and all the insight and perspective she's going to be sharing with us. So Saskia Riley is the owner of Huckleberry Media. She's an entrepreneur. She's a speaker. She's an intuitive life coach. She does so many things. She will also tell you all about the other things that I haven't mentioned that she does. If you can all just help me to welcome Saskia. Welcome, Saskia.
Thank you, Tinashe. Thank you so much for having me.
It's an honor and it's a pleasure, my dear. I'm actually more honored to have you on the Faith in Action podcast, to be honest, because really I can't wait to hear all the wisdom about the womb and how it's, that portal that you talk about. Saskia, please introduce yourself to our audience. I didn't mention everything that you do. I want them to know you first, and then we'll deep dive into the rest.
Yes, well, thank you, Tinashe. I'm very excited, firstly, for this conversation because I know that personally we have these type of conversations quite a lot between the two of us. So I think it's very exciting that we get to extend that conversation and have like, I picture this like sacred woman circle tonight, you know?
Mm,
It's all about us and what our needs are.
mm,
So, and we'll go a bit into that later, but that's what
mm,
I'm excited for tonight. And
mm,
um, I do quite a few things. So, I am an entrepreneur of Huckleberry Media over there. Um, I am a facilitator with Healing Through Conversation. So I help people on their healing journeys, individuals, and we've been doing it for the past 2 years. It is now shifting, going into more retreats and workshops, etc. And that is a bunch of people just sharing their healing journey and the transformation and helping each other. So we heal in community. And I feel that's one of the fastest way to heal is when
that's
you're
right.
not alone.
Mm,
And so that's one of them. And then I am an advanced psychic at the moment. So I'm an
mm,
intuitive life coach. And that's
mm.
actually what intuitive life coach means. It means
Oh,
that you are connected to a certain, you have certain gifts, and everybody can have this, and you use it to help others. So I use it in a very healthy way. I use it in a way to help someone with their past traumas, with maybe traumas
mm,
that have come from past lives, even. It goes even that deep. And then
mm,
also, what are their blind spots at the moment? So I check
mm,
energetic psychically what their blind spots are and how come they're not, and why they're not transforming to, let's say, the next level. And you can read all the books, you can have all the coaches, but sometimes there is something in your energetic field or in your lineage that needs to be cleared. And I go deep within that as well. And then yeah, and then there's telling my story, which I'm very passionate about, and helping other women and being a part of a community like this.
amazing, amazing, Saskia. I mean, you wear so many hats, I must say, and I think you wear all of them so gracefully, and they're all an extension, rather, of who you are as an individual. And it's just so beautiful to hear and see, at least from what I've known and what we've shared in the few conversations that we've had as well. So I'm excited, like you said, about today because it almost feels like, like when you have a girls' night, like
Yeah.
a pajama party of sorts, like let's go slumber party at Saskia's house. That's how I feel
Yes,
like tonight. And
we are going to do that.
we must. Yeah, and I feel like this today is more like that because it's women and it's the things that affect us. And I mean, just talking about the word womb for me is deep without even unpacking a lot. And I think oftentimes we lose the essence of that depth because we are so used to having a womb. We take it for granted and we don't end up seeing, what it really represents and what it means and how we ought to honor it as women. So I want to just jump into this and ask you a question to say, Saskia, why womb? Why this all this that you do? Why this intuitive coaching? Why, talk about healing and healing journey and coming to this place, and why the womb?
Because I'm a womb man. That's why.
Wow.
But
Wow.
where it all started, I think that's where the question is going with where it all started, right?
Mm,
Is that it might have been, and I always forget the timeline, but it might have been about 5 years ago, um, plus around
mm,
that period, where I felt growing up, firstly, I had a lot of father wounds to deal with throughout my childhood. And what happens is that when you have that father wound,
mm,
you your identity is basically shaped in the
mm,
shadow in your heart with
mm,
all things that you don't
mm,
understand.
mm,
That's literally engraved in your being.
mm,
And that's how it was for me, is that I firstly did not know who I am, how to operate in the world with men, because I was disconnected from my own father in that sense.
sure.
And there was and obviously my father wasn't a very present father, but he was there, but not as present as he should have been. Um, but around that period, I really experienced like that. I really don't know who I am and how to show up and how to navigate this world living alongside a man, like I said. And then what happened was is that I just had an identity crisis, like a major identity crisis. I was acting and living life from my wounds. And I created a personality from the wounds that I was carrying. Um, and I operated from the world in that way. And it's quite an approach where you feel like you can do it all and no man can do it better, type of um, personality. And that's just, I couldn't rely on a man, firstly, to begin with, not at all. I believe to a certain extent, I was becoming someone that degraded men a lot and their masculinity
Sure.
because of my wound, right?
Sure.
So that's just how life was for me growing up. And and in my 20s, I think it hit me the most was like, there was just something that happened in my life where it's like, I'm angry. Something about me is really, really angry. I'm
Hmm.
angry at my father. I'm angry at everyone that has honestly placed me here. And because why is life so difficult? Why, firstly, to begin with, why do I feel abandoned by my own father? And why do I not understand who he is, why he operates the way he does? I can barely understand my partners at the time, because you date around, and I could barely understand them. In my opinion, you can tend to also be hypersexual because of that. And that was womb neglect. That was an angry womb that was wanting to get men back, you
Sure.
know, because, and it all started with my dad.
Sure.
And, um, and out of respect, of course, that
Mm,
we go through this for a reason, and our parents play certain roles for us to
mm,
elevate a certain point in our lives.
mm,
So this is in respect in saying that I was impacted.
mm,
I felt it. I became angry. I
mm,
was a woman. I was a girl walking around with an angry womb, and I wanted
mm,
to destroy everything,
sure.
and it was a very dark path.
Mm,
And I also had two lives. So I had two different identities. There was like one that was very holy and all these things. And there's the other one that is wild, that is there. That's the angry one. She
sure.
is ready to tackle men because she can do this. Men have proven to be unreliable to me at that time.
Sure. Sure.
So once I discovered that, something happened where I had to sit with it, and it was like a turning point in my life that I hit, and I met my current partner.
Mm,
And my current partner was just this man that could sit with my nonsense. you know he could sit with
mm,
it. He could sit with my anger. He could sit with my distress. He could sit with my, I would say, depression. He would sit with my sadness spikes that happen. He could sit with that. And there was just something that he said to me this one night, and he said, you are angry at something. You're looking for someone's attention. And I
mm,
just burst into tears and I said, it's my dad. I'm
sh-
trying to hurt myself so much that my dad would come running
Sure.
because then I'd get his attention.
Sure.
So it was to that extent. But when my partner actually brought that up to me, immediately, I think it was like the next day,
Mm,
journey.
wow.
I know what I want to become. I
Wow.
need to heal because there's
Wow.
other girls that have went through this, that need to
Wow.
overcome this. And
Wow.
then I started the healing journey. I don't say that the healing journey ever really starts
Mm,
because
mm,
you're always actually learning the lessons, and that for me is healing in itself. But
that's
I think
right.
awareness that kicks in at a certain
Sure.
point.
Yeah.
So for me, there was the awareness that kicked in, and I decided to actively work on my future self.
Wow.
And that's where it all began, is who am I in future?
Sure. Sure. Sure.
And who am
Sister,
I without my wounds? I hope that answers
wow.
the question.
Wow. That's a mouthful. I mean, it more than answers the question. It goes into all the detail we want to hear. And I think a lot of people that are watching and listening need to hear, not even want to hear. I struggle a lot and it hurts me because a lot of women are suffering father issues and father
Yeah,
wounds.
yeah.
And some of them have a wrong notion of thinking just because he was in the house or he provided. When people talk father issues and father wounds, they don't want to accept and hear. No, my dad gave us all we need. But in actual fact, they have a deep wound of the father within them. There is a lot that a father represents, I suppose, in a particularly a girl child's life,
Yes.
just as you rightfully unpacked here. And I mean, Saskia, it's said this is a very deep and a sensitive story that you shared, and I can also resonate because
Mm,
I it doesn't help that I had father issues at home, but then I then went on to go to a girls school. So
mm.
I was in a girls school, and you see the whole interaction with men that you're talking about was
Yes.
completely lost because I already didn't have it. And then going into a 6-year boarding school where it's just women and girls, I don't even know. I couldn't also interact with men. I don't know if I fully know how to now because it's almost
Yes.
like us trying to navigate and evolve and get to that place of God help me to really understand this male
Mm.
counterpart without being feministic. Because I like what you say,
Yes.
dear, that you know, I hated men and I wanted to take off their masculinity. Sure.
Yes. Yes.
That's deep, Saskia.
It really is, but that's the type of anger that women actually can carry, or girls, or
Mm,
whatever phase you are in your life as a woman,
mm,
is that the type of anger. It's just very, very destructive, but if we use it correctly, it could be transformative.
that's so
So
true.
it's that's the level of anger when it comes to what lies in the womb, that sits in the womb specifically.
Mm,
It sits there,
mm,
it festers there, it builds up.
mm,
And then we're quick to fall pregnant, we're
mm,
quick to have babies.
mm.
But energetically, what happens is, in that womb, in that home, that sanctuary for 9 months, is that we're passing that all down to the children.
Goodness gracious.
So it's like it's
Sure,
all just this ripple effect that starts with us.
sure.
And this is I think this is where the conversation point is that this is our circle that we're developing right now and having this
Mm,
conversation, is I want every woman to connect with their heart for a moment,
that's right.
because we are going to have uncomfortable conversations, I think, tonight.
Mm, that's
And
right.
the uncomfortable conversation is about accountability.
Mm,
And I do feel that we bypass accountability a lot,
mm.
because we are women to a certain extent.
Yeah, yeah. We get
And
away with a lot.
um, tonight, that's definitely what I want to say when it comes to holding accountable, or holding ourselves accountable, not for their actions, but for the part that we played in everything.
Sure,
As difficult as it is,
sure.
as difficult. And I want to leave you with this before you carry on, but I want to leave you with this for a second. The state, if okay, this is how it works as a woman, right? What you see on the outside, what's happening around you, and the conditions that's happening around you is actually the state of your womb.
Mm, mm.
So it goes, yeah,
Sure,
I know it's
sure,
deep, I know,
sure, sure. You're scaring me, Saskia, because
I
I'm
know.
trying to think of the state of my life right now. And if that is what my womb represents, then I'm doomed. Because wow, wow,
You're not
wow,
doomed. We
wow.
can change it. We
We
can
can change
change
it.
it.
That's
That's
why
why
we
it's
have
called
you tonight.
manifestation. But
That's
we
why
go
we
deep
have
into
you
that.
tonight. Sure. That is so deep, Saskia. I think for me, what stood out in what you were sharing in the beginning was that that turning point was an important time, but but the fact that it took another man to
Yes.
recognize that that is what was the light bulb moment for you, because all you knew was men doing other things, but it took a man steady, calm, who's listening and looking and watching and assessing to say, hold on, but. And he took almost that accountability for all the other men that had hurt you. And I don't know, that's just what came to my, like, that is amazing.
Yes. It takes, it took honestly a very steady man to see what was wrong with me. And
Hmm.
I wouldn't say what was wrong with me, but what was broken
Yes.
within me.
Mm,
Because I had a
mm,
broken heart,
mm,
you know?
mm.
And so that's all it was. And I think this was the most important, is choosing the right partner also while you're on that healing journey.
Sure.
Um, because I just knew the current state of what's happening around me is not actually what I am manifesting.
Mm,
And I need to play my part.
mm,
So, for example, if we go deep into that, there was, remember, I was on the journey of understanding what men are. Who are
mm.
they? How do they operate? So
Yeah,
trust me, I was not in the best relationships.
sure.
Manipulative. It was just so triggering to be in
Mm,
those
mm,
relationships.
mm,
Not in a good way, but it served a purpose, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but in those relationships, I felt that I was living for them,
Mm,
for my partner, to a
mm,
certain extent, and kind of forgetting about myself a lot of the times, you
mm,
know, and that's a
mm.
neglected room again. So we get so many, uh, like labels that we can call our womb, that tells you what's the one word that comes to mind right now for every woman. What's the one word that comes out? Is it neglected? Is it afraid? Is it and so that's the label of your
Mm.
womb.
Yeah,
And then from there
yeah,
you can go from that and
yeah.
develop that healing journey or that structure that you need.
Mm,
But it did, and going back to understanding men, right, and how that was the mirror for me, is who are they? How do they
sure.
operate? Because my father had multiple children with many women.
Mm, mm,
And I was being hurt every time that happens as a
mm,
daughter, as his only daughter at the time. I
mm.
was getting extreme, and the eldest on top of that. So I was getting extremely hurt. But one of the questions that came up was, how can he hurt someone like me? Because that's another woman. She's me. I'm her, she's me.
Sure.
So that's just what stood out in my mind was like, and the question that I asked myself, I cannot support a man that hurt me, other women
Mm,
like me. You never
mm,
know, right? You
mm.
never know what they've been through. But the thing is, just being a woman in itself, you're a representation of me, and I'm a representation of you.
That's right.
So
Sure.
so that was one of the questions there. And then I was like, dating, etc. And it was in just not the best relationships. My needs weren't met in terms of who I am as a person and who I am as a whole, as a being, and just the phase that I was in. They were good for those moments, and taking me on to where I am now, but
Mm,
it's showing me different. I had different types also. So
mm,
you'll get the quiet man, you'll get the superstar, you'll get the whatever different archetypes, of and and for me that was like showing, how do they operate? What's a narcissistic man? What is this? What's an abusive man? What is a man that is showing signs that in future could be like my father.
Mm.
And once they gave me the sign that they could be like my dad, because trust me, I know my dad's I know his archetype. I can smell it from a mile away.
Sure.
When a man walks into my space and he operates like the certain type, and the
Mm.
first thing that comes to my mind um is my network okay? I just saw it dip
You're
for a
back
bit.
now. You're back now.
Okay. so um so when it got to my partner right now, I had this full list, and it was basically, and for lack of a better term, manning my checklist.
Sure.
He needs to be like this. He needs to be like that. I was ticking like he needs to. If he doesn't tick those boxes, I'm not there. You know.
He's out.
So, so I became
True.
like that specific, with the type of man. But then there was like, for example, spiritual. He needs to be athletic. He needs to be a go-getter. He needs
Mm.
to all these things that he needs to be, because I was naturally a very career orientated child and
That's
growing
right.
up as well. So all I know is career,
Mm.
um, you know, and so what happened was is that I was going through the phase of that checklist, and somehow it wasn't working. I had all of these
Mm.
things. I had spiritual, like I said, I had athletic build, I had must be a go-getter, and the list goes on. But then these men were just not showing up correctly. Like, I can't feel you. I can't feel who you are. And you're acting not what I think is healthy for me.
That's right.
But I see the package, you're the package, the
Mm.
personality, etc.
Mm.
And then I remember this one time I was reading a Bible at the time, and I was just scratching all this entire list off because a man has hurt me.
Mm.
And before I met my partner currently, and I just scratched that all off. And I left a note and I said, spiritual,
Wow.
because that's what I need for my future. That's where I'm
Wow.
going.
Wow.
Because I was on that healing journey already, and I knew that I was vulnerable.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what's the most vulnerable?
Mm.
And what type of man is it that I need? And it is a spiritual man. That
That's
that
right.
and a spiritual man that he can do whatever he wants to do in this world, but he operates from the place of
That's right.
divinity.
Jeez. Sure.
And once I got that, I then went on that healing path.
Mm.
And honestly, I would say the right man awakened my womanhood as well.
Wow. Wow.
So
Wow.
it takes
Wow.
two to tango.
Takes two to tango. There cannot be womanhood without manhood. I think
Mm.
that's what you're also saying here, Saskia, that we cannot neglect that other side because we need them. We need each other in actual fact. And I believe it's the same with men as well that are experiencing these issues on the other side, that they actually need a woman to actually come into their space and begin to heal them from this
Yes.
wound and this brokenness. That's quite deep. That's a revelation. It's like an awakening, as you rightfully put it. You speak about identity crisis,
Mm.
and in your last statement, you said, "Who am I?" You went on a journey, and you started with, "Who am I?" What is identity crisis, Saskia, and how did it play out in your own personal life?
Yes. So firstly, how it played out was different facets of my identity showing up in different ways or situations, and to
Mm.
also people. It's what I call right now shapeshifters.
Mm.
So
Mm.
it's like they're not grounded in their being and operating from the same place. They're basically giving you what you want to know or want to see. So, firstly, they don't know their boundaries to begin with, Oh, there's a bug here. They don't know
Wow.
their boundaries. They don't know. or have strong boundaries, they're just accepting of everything and they just shapeshift. They're like
Mm,
shapeshift to every personality, every situation. So I found myself doing that in those spaces, being like a chameleon or a shapeshifter.
mm, mm.
And I know that's quite a literal physical term, but that's the way it comes across with all
Yeah.
these different facets.
Mm,
And for me, it was I needed to find stability in who I am because I found myself quite off balance and not very
mm.
grounded.
That's right.
And when it comes to my identity and where I'm going, I was struggling to find a truly, truly joyful woman besides my mother
Mm,
from the core. A happy woman, because
mm,
I'm a happy woman, I'm a playful woman, I'm
mm,
joyful. I
mm.
love to talk about these type of topics and I'm a very deep woman, but I bring joy into everything that I do. I know
That's
who I
right.
am,
Yeah.
right? And often I can easily be mistaken for she's not as mature enough, or she's not exactly her age, and all those type of things. So I had to deal with all those doubts on top of that, and hearing, especially when you're bullied since you were a child for your
Mm,
being the way that you are,
mm.
growing up. But that's another story. so
Yeah.
so so just for me, it's like, I don't want to be the serious woman that I see around. I don't want to be the stressed woman. I
Sure.
don't want to be the woman that can't rely on a man.
Wow.
I want to have a man that I can count
Wow.
on. I want to be the woman of her word. I want to be,
Yeah.
when other women speak to me, that they find some sort of healing, or I empower them to be their better self, their
That's it.
higher self. I
Mm,
also saw a lot of women competing with each other, which is a
mm,
complete no-go for me. And I saw that competition happening between women with this man and this man, that man, and then it's also this job, this nice shoes, such superficial ways of living life. And
yeah.
I could not be a part of that. My entire
Mm,
being just knew this is wrong.
mm,
How I'm
mm.
acting and what I'm doing is wrong.
Yeah.
How do I become the woman that I am? Which I love to laugh, I love to have fun. I am also quite motherly in my persona. I'm a
Yeah.
nurturer. I'm a
Yeah.
natural nurturer. So
That's it.
imagine at the age that I was, like, let's say I'll give you an estimate of like 25. The age that I was 6, 7 years ago was 25 years old, and I'm actually a nurturer.
Wow.
And
Wow.
then I'm seeing the women around me, or the 20 somethings around me, not exactly embodying that
Mm,
to begin with. So now I'm singled out there to start with.
mm,
And then
mm,
when I look to the older women, they stressed out. And it's obviously understandable. It's completely
mm,
understandable. Everybody
mm.
has different situations and circumstances, and that's not shedding or making light of those situations, but more so is that I did not believe that that is my destiny
That's
at all,
it.
and it's still
Wow.
not. I'm still
Mm,
on that journey
mm.
of that sort of transformation. But I'm so glad to say that every single week or every single day I get closer,
Wow.
and that's the
That's
most
power.
important.
Wow. That's power, Saskia. And thank you for shedding light on identity crisis and sharing your story and shapeshifters. Totally. That you people pleaser. You just want to blend into every color. You're like a chameleon. You go to green, you become green. You don't have an identity. Who are
Yes.
you? Who have you been created to be? What is your authentic self and what do you represent uniquely as an individual? And
Who are you without your wounds?
mm,
So many people, I don't think, a lot of the time they create their identity based on their wounds, and obviously
mm,
those are lessons. Those are lessons, but I do feel that from what I've seen, it's not a very strong, path to
Mm,
take within your being. It's
mm.
let's take away those wounds, those titles, everything. Let's take away everything. What is your
Man,
soul?
Saskia.
What's the
Mm,
archetype of your soul?
mm, mm. Wow, Saskia. Oh, I almost shed a tear right there. Who are you without your wounds?
It
Because
is
indeed
triggering.
we've and
It is triggering.
it's triggering because we identify so much with the wounds, but never the other side of who you are that is pure, that's got
Yeah.
nothing to it, that is original to it, that's original. And we almost form a story of our identity based on the wounds, actually.
Yes, we do.
And we lean on so much on them that we so much find comfort. We forget that there's other things and there's life to live for. There's really like, you know what?
There's things
That
to
that is
do.
so deep. That is so deep, Saskia. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, to all those that are listening, you're hearing it for yourselves. I'm also learning here, guys. We are on the Faith in Action podcast, and Saskia Riley is in the house sharing all things healing journey, the womb. We haven't even touched on that as yet as a portal, and understanding manhood, fatherhood, identity, and all these things that she's sharing from her heart. um oh, you mentioned a statement earlier that abandonment by the father removes identity. Mm,
Mm, mm.
mm, mm,
Yeah. Oh, that is. I personally, I felt that I just had the shadow of a personality. I was operating from like half my mom's side.
mm,
I barely know much about the other side.
yeah.
I don't know what they what me, what how did my father become who he is, and
True.
what did I take from that? I can see now what I've taken from it, but then it was like, what have I taken from that? Because there's a lot of me that's like him, and
Mm,
I'm the best version of my mom and my dad, for example.
mm,
The best version, and you are
wow,
too. you know
wow.
so it's just like feeling, not really understanding the workings and the mind of my father in that way. I know him from an external point of the external personality, but who are you internally, from a what has shaped you to make these decisions?
True.
Because someone's got to heal it if it's not him.
Mm, yeah.
And guess what? I'm the one. It's always the kids that
True.
have to feel that. And obviously my
True.
siblings, but it always gets passed down. It's energy. So energy goes down generations. Spirit goes down generations. A type
That's
of
it.
family spirit goes
That's
down
it.
generations. So,
True.
and it's with all the strengths and all the or rather all the light and all the shadows goes
Mm,
into the generation. And that's
mm.
how it also goes down to the womb, going deep in there. So it's we'll go deeper into the womb, but it's just that section, or that trauma for me, having that sort of blind spot. I barely know my dad, so how can I know
Mm.
myself?
Oof. So, so,
It's you
so,
just can't.
Saskia, yeah. So if I hear you well, this thing is an accumulation.
Yes. It doesn't just start with womb.
Sure.
It's down the lineage. It's a lineage conversation.
Mm, mm,
It's
mm,
it's from our
mm,
grandmothers even.
mm,
Because
mm,
that's because
mm,
all the way deep.
mm, mm,
No,
mm,
it's from our great grandmothers. What
mm,
sort of
mm,
trauma did they go through in the
mm.
womb, that can get passed down? What happened to the grandmother? What happened to your mother? What was the energetic state in the womb at that moment? So it trickles down.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's really deep. Like sometimes we really don't take a step back to understand what these people went through. What did my dad go through? I can hate him. I mean, I hated
Yeah.
him, my dad,
Yeah.
until death, and I didn't even realize I hadn't forgiven him, even in
Ye-
death. That's how deep it was. And you just realize that you just angry at this man. But
Yeah.
did I take a step back to say, but wait a minute, what actually happened in this man's life? What
Yes.
was passed down to
Make
him
those
as well?
decisions. Yeah.
Jeez. And what made him make the decisions he made? How was life in his space, in his world? What was his
Yeah.
perspective like? What else did he know besides what he knew and what he was exposed to?
Yes. Exactly. Exactly that. You are touching on something very important. What was he exposed to?
Mm,
Why? What was his environment like? Because if it wasn't an
mm,
environment for growth, how
mm.
can he be something to you
Yeah, yeah,
as a child?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and only now I can say that I have healed to a certain point where I'm no longer operating from the place of my father wound.
Mm, mm, mm.
And sometimes, yeah, you get triggered here and there,
Yes.
and that's normal. But the point is that you pay attention to it, you dissect it, and you move forward.
Mm,
Oh, it's because a basic need wasn't met. Oh, this is
that's
what's
right.
happened here. And I was triggered because you weren't active enough in my life, or with something when I needed help, you weren't there.
Mm,
For
mm,
example, abandonment, especially. So it just took me, um, I had to really, really sit with the father wound for a very, very long time and have all those lessons that happened in my life about men. And my goal was to understand men and allow men to show me who they are.
sure,
Because I can't
sure.
go based on assumptions.
That's right.
Because look
That's
where
right.
it ended up, right?
That's right.
Is
That's right.
and only now I can say I know exactly why my father did what he did.
Sure,
And only now I can understand why I am the way that I am.
sure.
And because there's quite a few similarities, especially when it comes to business. There's
Mm,
especially there.
wow.
Um, and so there's just how do I, yeah, it's just I'm finally at the space where I can say when I can see the strengths of my dad, not the
Wow.
weaknesses.
Wow. Wow. And
And
honing
what
on
a
it.
beautiful man, to be honest, when I look at the strengths.
Wow.
He was just hurting. He was looking for a lifeline.
Sure.
And that's how I then moved on to the other healing that took place. Now it's time for me.
Wow. And that takes
Yeah.
us to the womb. After how many minutes? Goodness, time is really, really
It
ticking here.
really is.
Ah, ah, I'm loving this, Saskia. Now we end up at the womb. I mean, I know that there's a lot of touch and goes we're doing here because it's
Yes.
so much to unpack in one conversation and for people to get all the answers in one conversation, but at least the awareness and that journey to say start here or this is
Yeah.
what you must look at and at least Saskia is also sharing from her own personal stories and journey
Yes.
that I believe everybody here and whoever's watching and listening can relate to. So again, Saskia, we really thank you for what you are sharing. We get into the womb
Yes.
as a portal. Do you
Yeah.
want to just share a little bit on that? Because when I think portal, I think gate, like it's a gateway or a gate.
Yes.
When they talk about the gates, it's like the entrance. This is where it's like the wall. Like in the Bible, there's this wall of the city. It's like that wall of the city where they set and we're guarding the city. So when you
Yes,
say womb and portal, I almost that's what comes to my mind. Do you want to unpack that for us, Saskia?
I would love to. Before we go into that, I have
Mhm.
something to share with you as well as the viewers. It is a poem that I think is very, very important to share. And it comes from The Sacred Woman. And I'm not too sure if anyone knows this, but it's The Sacred Woman by Queen Afua. And you can find it online. You can get it on Take a Lot, whatever you feel. But this is like my womb Bible,
Wow.
basically.
Wow.
And I've read it quite a few times. So this is my I don't know how many times I've read it, but
Wow.
this is another experience that I'm having. But every experience is a new experience
That's it.
because you just mentioned gateways. Now there's
Mm.
different gateways for our womanhood. There's different rites of passage. We go through the when we are a girl, then we get our menstrual cycle happens, and we get that initiation. Then we get another initiation that follows a lot or follows from that. Like let's say you are um, you finally stepping into who you are as a woman. That's an initiation, and then you are a parent, for example. So I'm before all of that. I'm on the woman part.
I'm a little bit ahead of you, Saskia.
And what I'm doing though is preparing myself for my motherhood,
Mm,
honestly.
mm,
Even if it's coming 5 years from now, I'm not wanting it
that's
anytime soon. But but because there's lots of work to be done, okay, before then. But I need to make sure that the womb is a safe space for the children that I will bring forward because
your
I want them to have an elevated state of life. I want them to live in bliss, joy, abundance. And I think the abundance starts with who has come before me, but now with me.
wow. Wow.
So I I'm not saying that it will never happen, like you won't have traumas passed to them, but I want to try to, as much as possible, make it a safe space because they're in there for 9 months.
Mm. Saskia, that's
And
deep.
that's their home. So before I go into deeper into that, though, this is the poem. Um, and this is like a sacred woman initiate type poem. So it says, and it starts with, and I call myself womb man. And obviously you can hear there's the B between woman, right? Because that's truly what we are. We are womb men, you know.
Mm.
How can I become woman, womb man, when I don't know my womb? I've never had a conversation with my womb. So how can I consider myself a womb man?
Mm.
I have been with you, grown with you, been through rites of passage with you, from childhood to adolescence to adulthood, and yet I've never had a conversation with you. You have been a victim, a consequence to an action, a symptom of disease, an effect of my action. I've never spoken to you, consulted with you, inquired of you, cared for you, or understood you. And I call myself a grown woman. What have I grown? How could I have grown without talking to you, without acknowledging your presence and your works? And I call myself a woman. I've put you through dozens of men, alien spirits, beings, entities of all dimensions, from all places and stations. I have created and destroyed babies through you.
Mm.
I have fed all kinds of poisons, thereby creating disease, fibroids, tumors, cysts, and the like. I've sexually abused you, thereby creating sexually transmitted disease, infections of all types, itching, burning, hurting, pain. I've used you for my own purposes, money, favors. alleged self-esteem, beauty, clothing, food. I've allowed men to probe you, doctors to drug you, while I held you down. I've If I had known someone who had done all these things, I would call them the names I despise the most: murderer, thief, liar, betrayer, demon. Yes, I would. And I call myself a woman. Now it's time to release. Release, release, release. Forgive me. Forgive me, forgive me. I am complete. I will be responsible for you, for myself, for my womb. We are in a relationship together, you see. We have been from the very, very, very beginning. I will commune and communicate with you. I will listen to you today. I will wash, I will cleanse, and I will purify you. I will pay attention to your patterns, your moods, your signs, and your wonders. I will become the womb man that you made me from the beginning.
Hmm. And we close the session, ma'am. I mean, what else?
Hits
Wow.
deeper than deep.
Wow.
And it's an opportunity to not only, it's not to shame our womb. Please, let's just touch on that. This is not to have you feel bad about the things that you've done in the past or how you're treating your womb currently. That's how I personally take it.
Hmm.
This is an opportunity to own who we are, to connect with ourselves, to say, yes, I have not been treating you too well. I don't think that I've been nurturing you well enough.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's okay. That's okay. But at
Hmm.
least now we know where to start is
That's
to
right.
connect with it.
That's right.
So when you do connect with it, firstly, that is and I could tell Tinashe, you went to a whole nother world. And it is a moment, it is a sacred moment. It really
Hmm.
is. It's so, so sensitive and vulnerable, but there's power in our vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's power in our accountability, our vulnerability, and say, yes, I have done that.
Yeah.
I have not treated her well.
That's right.
And it starts today to take step and or move forward in that direction because, and I think this is for this conversation, and I decided of what is my prayer for, or my what's my goal for our conversation.
Hmm.
And my goal for my conversation is I do not want women to feel that they ever need to be in survival with other women. Women need to treat each other better, but it starts with us. It
Hmm.
starts with our womb.
Hmm.
Once we know our womb, we then can connect with other women around us.
Listen.
So
Listen.
that was my goal for this
Sure.
conversation. I'm
Sure.
sick and tired, honestly, of engaging with women speaking to me in a masculine way, in
Wow.
operating from their masculinity. And it's
That's right.
it's obviously there's lots of compassion there though, but it's just it's
Hmm.
time.
It's
And my
time.
my call is for women to take their place,
That's right.
to take their stand rather, which is even better. Take your stand, put on that crown,
Hmm.
but it's not going to start from anything external. It's not going to start by having the best shoes. It's not going to start there having the ideal partner or whatever, the
Hmm.
trophy partner. It's not going to start there. That's all external. It has to start with ourselves and our connection to our divine source, our portal. And the
Hmm.
reason why I say manifestation portal is because, as you know, like I mentioned, is that we can block it, we can block our emotions there
Hmm. Hmm.
because that's an important space. That is the
Hmm.
sacred gateway from the universe, from
That's
God.
right.
It's our
Hmm.
connection straight through to the womb. So this is how children happen. That's how that miracle happens,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
is because of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like going deeper in that and saying, I need to take the time. Maybe it can be, it depends on how long you want to do this, but there's different forms to the meditation. Connect with
Mm,
your womb space and just figure out firstly what is going on around there.
mm,
When you see, you can cover your womb in like this color. Maybe you can use the color white, right? When you do
mm,
in your meditation, connect with that. Have a sacred bath. Things that herbs that you can use, like lavender is my most favorite. Use
mm,
lavender, throw it in the bath. It's so beautiful and helps the womb and your yoni.
mm.
And I'm going to ask the question to the viewers here, which is most important. Have you seen your yoni? Do you know how it do you and I'm sure there's like 80% that will tell me, I don't know when last I've seen that thing.
Mm.
You know?
That's
So
true. That is so true.
I don't know when last. I don't even know what she does there.
Looks like.
What does she look like? Does she need maintenance? I don't know.
That's true.
You
That is so true. That is so true.
They can't tell us the condition of a womb. Most women, or our yoni, most women can't tell you. And that's all that connection that we need to have. We need to know what's happening there. What does it need? You know,
Mm.
we've allowed people to enter the most sacred space of a woman just like that.
Wow.
And I'm talking
Wow.
from a place of knowing because I've done it myself,
Wow.
not from a place of whatever, and
Judgment. Yeah.
judgment, yeah, but from a place of knowing that we cannot allow just anyone to enter that sacred portal, that sacred
Mm.
gateway.
Yes, man.
We are
Mm.
the portal, women are the portal of between heaven and earth.
That's
So why
right.
don't we walk like one? Why
True.
don't we respect it like one? You know? So those are the questions that I ask myself. Why am I not respecting myself in that way? I cannot be an abundant woman without connecting with my womb, because the womb is for manifestation for a
Wow.
woman.
Wow.
That is where I can see the condition of my life.
Wow. Wow.
And right now, it is I see that there's a lot of love around me, a lot of support. So it
Wow.
shows that my womb is starting to awaken to the love and support that I need. I'm stepping into a certain phase where I need
Wow.
that.
Wow.
And I've manifested within 3 days, 3 to 5 days to be exact, things that I really desire, because I connect to that womb. And
Wow.
I'm like, what do I need here? That's my womb tuition is what I call it.
Wow.
Womb tuition. Your womb, and this is the situation, Tinashe, is that, have you ever been in a situation where you're not supposed to be in a relationship with this person? Who told
Yeah.
you?
This one. Yeah. It's yeah. And we say, ah, my gut feel. There was just something. I felt it. It's right here.
Yes. How many women sit here and say that they are truly happy after a man has probed them or entered them? How can you say like you're truly happy? Not
True.
many, in my opinion.
That's
You
true.
feel joy. You're supposed to feel joy.
Mm.
When you have that sort of exchange, you're supposed to feel so much joy. Because didn't you just give yourself to someone that is really, really important and that you want to share yourself
Mm.
with? So why is it that you feel drained? And not in the good way. Drained
That's
in the
true.
in the in the uncomfortable way. Because you gave too much. You gave what you shouldn't have given. And because your womb said no. He does not
That's
deserve, or this, whatever
right.
it is that's entering here, does not deserve to be here. This is an alien,
Wow.
you know? So, and right now, I honor my womb so much that I can say no to that
Wow.
until
Wow.
the time comes,
That's
until
right.
I feel that my womb is ready.
That's right, Saskia. Mm,
And because it starts, I need to speak to her first. I need to be
mm,
connected to her. I need to see, where are we going? What is it that you need from me?
mm,
So that you get multiple forms of connecting with the womb. It can be through meditation, and I would urge women to go and have a look and research. Don't just take my word for it.
mm,
Test it. You know, um, meditation. You get yoni cleansing, and that's one of my most sacred rituals. Is yoni cleansing, is taking the opportunity to connect with the womb and having with and through the power of herbs and from the
mm,
earth, you know,
mm,
connecting with and really spending time with that. It's like that's my me time.
mm.
Everyone's talking about this other type of me time that also helps. I would want to ask you, connect with your womb for me time. You'll truly
Wow.
feel replenished. And
Wow.
the yoni cleansing for me, whenever I embark on that sacred ritual of womanhood, what happens is that I feel like I sleep for like normal hours, like let's say 8 hours, but the sleep is deeper than I've ever experienced. I feel
Wow.
like I haven't slept in 2 years. I
Wow.
wake up renewed. I wake up refreshed. On top of
Wow.
that, my womb, if you feel right now, Tinashe, um, if you feel your womb right now, you can feel what it feels like.
Mm,
Maybe a bit of a burning sensation or very
mm,
heavy.
mm, mm.
And if it feels like that, there's things there that you need to
Wow.
cleanse physically and spiritually.
Wow.
So I always can feel when I need to cleanse. Is that
Wow.
sometimes it can feel quite heavy, like you're carrying a bag of something. Um,
Wow.
so there's also, excuse me, there's also diet that you could tap into. And
Mm,
please bear in mind that this is not like an overnight journey.
yeah.
This is a journey of this is your journey,
Mm,
and
mm,
it's gonna take quite a long process of your life to enter all those sacred rites of passage, all those gateways to different to the woman
beautiful.
that you are becoming. So
Beautiful.
this is only for me, point one.
Wow. 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 Saskia, this is deep. I'm worried about time, man. But
Yes, I
I'm
know.
so loving this. And I mean, we might have to really wrap this up now.
Yeah,
But goodness, we need some of this. We need that poem that you shared. We need to post and share it with the ladies that are watching this episode. At least
yeah,
on the episode, I think it needs to be there because I think it's something that people need to read through a lot. I mean, you spoke about, you know, how we've treated our womb can be a representation of the words that we so hate: thief, liar, murderer. And those
yeah,
are some of the things we need to go back into and really meditate to say, how have I treated my womb in that way? How have I treated it as a liar, as a thief? Because you're stealing from yourself, basically, as a murderer. And reflect on all of those things, because
yeah,
those are the things that you need to connect to in order for them not to repeat and to create a safe space, as you said. And I
yeah,
absolutely love what you said about the way you treat your womb is a reflection now of how you treat other women.
yes,
If you're not
definitely.
treating this right, we can see through the way you manifest and
Yeah,
represent yourself, then we know, oh, they have not connected to the womanhood, the
yeah,
womb man, to who they are. And I mean, that's absolutely amazing. I also love that, you spoke about conversation with my womb, because think about it. When a child is born, a girl child, they already have a womb in them. As they
Yes.
continue to grow, that womb continues to grow with them. Atara, my daughter, was a little baby just now. She's 6 now. And I know that the womb has grown to the size of a 6-year-old. When she's
Yeah.
13 and maybe ready for her menstrual period, then of course it expands and gets ready for that. But did anyone teach her? Am I ready? If I had not received this information, how was I even going to teach her about honoring that? Because I think a lot of issues we have with or that are surrounding women is as a result indeed of the issues of the womb, and how we have not really sorted out that aspect, regardless of things we've been through, where we come from, the environment, but connecting deeply to this person and that
Yeah.
womb. Saskia, thank you so much
Yeah.
for this beautiful time, and as you said, the sacred time and the sisterhood circle that you've really created for us tonight. um I cannot begin to thank you for this wisdom and this knowledge, and
Oh,
for the work
wow.
you've done on yourself to be able to share with the world like this. Takes a lot. I, for
Thank
one,
you.
am learning. I've learned. I keep learning from you. And I'm just realizing the depth of this wisdom even more. And I'm truly grateful. Thank you for honoring this invite. May God continue to shape you into the best version of yourself, that they will no longer recognize you because you've become that original and authentic self that is not operating from any wounds. They won't recognize you. And may that bubbly, joyful being, that person who's so connected to their inner self, continue to manifest in you. That's my blessing for you. And I wish you a beautiful motherhood when the time comes. Your children will be blessed. And I really wish you and your partner well in your journey, because I believe he's also supporting you in every step. And we just pray and speak blessings over you guys, that every single thing, may this journey not be, don't abandon it. You've
Yeah.
started this beautiful journey. Let it unveil and unravel to the fullest, so that whoever comes in contact with the two of you will receive the fullest version of that which needs to be received. And that's my prayer for the two of you guys. So thank you so much, um, for this time, for who you are.
Oh,
Unfortunately, time is not on our side. Um,
yes.
Viewers, I will share all the handles. She'll share the poem. Your last parting words, Saskia.
Oh. Firstly, thank you so much, Tinashe. Thank you, thank you, thank you for allowing me to share the side of myself. Um, I'm learning more and more to share who I am and operate from my most authentic self. And this is once again a step closer to that, to operating from that place, because this is something that happens with me personally in my sacred little space, but I get to share it with everyone. And that for me is thank you. I'm just beyond grateful. And I trust that we together we'd be able to help many other women.
That's
And
right.
because you and I, we same when it comes to the womanhood, you know.
That's right. That's
And
right.
exactly. And I hope together, let's see where this goes, because
Yeah.
together, who knows where we can take this?
Yeah.
Because and other women.
Yeah.
So I'm just so honored, and I'm here to help so many other women on this
Mhm.
journey. Please reach out firstly to begin with. Please
Yeah.
feel free to message me and reach out. I'd love to have a reading circle about the sacred woman. I'd love to
Yeah.
have some sort of womb workshop, and where
Yeah.
we heal and we do that cleansing together. I'd love to do that. And that's where I'm hoping to go with women.
Mhm.
While I'm on this journey, I need to heal in community, and other people need to heal. Other women need to heal with me.
That's right.
But yeah, so I appreciate the opportunity, and imparting words to other women. It's the word. It's just what keeps on coming to my mind is It's time, women. Take your space, honor
Mm,
your space.
mm,
uh, Step forward. The only way you can, when you start with a woman, what your identity is, the only way you can add value to society, to your families, to your communities, to other sisters, and to other women and people around you is if you honor your womb and your identity and your being.
mm,
So it's a call. That's my urgent call for
mm,
women to join in.
mm. Thank you, Saskia. Thank you
Thank
once again. To all the viewers, to all the listeners, to everybody that's tuned in to this episode of the Faith in Action podcast with me, your host, Tinashe Mjira. Really thank you. And I mean, I have no words but to just say my heart is full, and I believe yours is too. Please share a comment. If you've got questions, we didn't even take questions, but please don't hesitate to pop questions. Either me, Saskia, we will be honored to answer them, and really get back to you. I know this is quite a very sacred topic, and I mean some of the questions cannot be asked in public. So please feel free to DM, and we'll gladly assist in any way possible. With that said, till we meet again on the next episode of the Faith in Action podcast, it is goodbye for now. Thank you so much. Bye, Saskia. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Tinashe Mujera. I'm an author, I'm a marketplace professional, and I'm a woman of God. I am a representation of tested faith. I represent my healed wounds that left ugly scars. This is the Faith in Action podcast that has been created to help you find the journey to your true self through conversations and lessons shared.